She did everything right. She saved for 5 years. She scraped together a down payment. She bought a condo in Toronto for $620,000. Her friends called her a homeowner. Her parents said she was building equity. Her realtor said she was making the smartest decision of her life. 3 years later, she got a letter in the mail. Special assessment, $28,000, due in 90 days. Not optional, not negotiable. She either pays it or the condo board puts a lien on her unit. She didn't have $28,000. She had to take out a personal loan at 9% interest to cover a bill she never saw coming for a building she already owned. This is not a rare story. This is happening to thousands of Canadians right now. And the scariest part, the math was never in their favor to begin with. They just weren't shown the real numbers. So today, I'm going to show you the real numbers. Here's what we're covering today. Chapter 1. The hidden costs realtors don't put in the listing. Chapter 2. The special assessment time bomb sitting inside most Canadian condo buildings right now. Chapter 3. The true cost of condo ownership versus renting. An honest, side-by-side breakdown. Chapter 4. The Condo Reserve Fund Test. How to know if your building is a ticking time bomb before you buy. And Chapter 5. The chapter I've been teasing. The exact scenario where buying a condo actually makes sense. Because sometimes it does. I'll show you when. If you're thinking about buying a condo, already own one, or you just want to understand why so many Canadians feel house rich and cash poor, this one's for you. Quick disclaimer, I'm Grace from Money Glow Up. I break down Canadian money stuff so it actually makes sense. This is education, not financial advice. Talk to a professional before making any big moves. Cool, let's get into it. When you see a condo listing, you see a price. Let's say $550,000 in Calgary. Looks manageable, right? Especially compared to a detached house. But that number is a costume. The real cost is underneath it. Let's pull it apart. The mortgage. At 5.5% on a $440,000 mortgage, that's 20% down. Your monthly payment is roughly $2,700. That's the number most people focus on. That's the wrong number to focus on. Condo fees. The average condo fee in Canada right now is sitting between $500 and $900 per month. In Toronto and Vancouver, it routinely crosses $1,000. Let's call it $650 for our example. That $650 covers building insurance, maintenance, amenities, and the reserve fund. Sounds fine. We'll come back to that reserve fund, property tax. On a $550,000 unit in Calgary, you're looking at roughly $250 to $350 a month. Let's say $300. Parking and locker. If parking isn't included, and increasingly it isn't, add $150 to $200 a month. Your own home insurance. Not the building insurance, your contents and liability. Budget $80 to $120 a month. Mortgage, life, and disability insurance. Optional, but most new buyers get it. Another $100 to $150. So let's run the real monthly number. Mortgage, $2,700. Condo fees, $650. Property tax, $300. Parking, $175. Home insurance, $100. MISC, $125. Total, roughly $4,050 per month for a $550,000 condo. That renter across the hall paying $2,400 a month for the exact same floor plan. They're not throwing money away. They're keeping $1,650 a month, every month. That's $19,800 a year in cash flow they get to invest, save, or just live on. And we haven't even talked about the real killer yet. Here's the thing, most people don't understand about condo buildings. You don't just own your unit. You co-own the entire building. The roof, the elevator, the parking garage, the boiler, the lobby, the windows. All of it. When something breaks or needs replacing, the cost gets split among every unit owner. The condo board is supposed to plan for this. They're supposed to collect money every month through your condo fees and put it into something called a reserve fund. That fund sits there, growing so that when the roof needs replacing in 15 years, the money is already there. That's how it's supposed to work. Here's how it actually works. Condo boards are usually volunteers. Regular people, they're trying to keep condo fees low to make the units attractive to buyers. So they underfund the reserve, year after year. They kick the can down the road, then the elevator breaks, or the underground garage starts flooding, or the building's exterior cladding fails inspection. And suddenly, there's a $4 million repair bill and the reserve fund has $800,000. Guess who pays the difference? You do. Every unit owner gets a bill. Sometimes it's $8,000, sometimes $15,000, sometimes, like the woman I told you about, $28,000, and sometimes it's higher. In British Columbia, a study found that over 40% of condo buildings are significantly underfunded. Ontario isn't much better. Alberta has been tightening its rules, but older buildings are still carrying serious shortfalls. And here's what makes this a time bomb specifically right now. A massive wave of Canadian condos built in the 1980s and 1990s are hitting the end of their major system lifespans all at once. Elevators, windows, roofs, parking structures, everything is aging out simultaneously. In buildings that were already underfunding their reserves for decades, the bills are coming, and a lot of condo owners have no idea. Let me show you a real comparison. No spin, just the math. Same person, same city. Two paths. Path A, the condo buyer, buys a $550,000 condo, puts 20% down, that's $110,000, takes a $440,000 mortgage. We already ran the monthly costs. $4,050 a month. Over 5 years, they pay roughly $243,000 in housing costs. Of that $243,000, how much actually builds equity? The mortgage principal portion, roughly $45,000 over 5 years at current rates. So the net cost to actually live there? About $198,000 in 5 years. Plus the $110,000 they already spent on the down payment, which is now locked in the unit, and they're hoping the condo appreciated. Let's say it went up 3% a year. That's about $90,000 in appreciation over 5 years. So they've spent $308,000 total and gained $135,000 in equity and appreciation. Net cost, $173,000 to live there for 5 years. Before any special assessments. Path B, the renter plus investor. Rents the same unit for $2,400 a month. Invests the $110,000 down payment into XEQT inside a TFSA. We talked about that last video. Invests the $1,650 monthly difference every single month. Same $1,650 they're saving versus the buyer. At an 8% average return, which is conservative for a global index ETF, over 5 years, the $110,000 grows to about $162,000. The monthly $1,650 contributions grow to roughly $120,000. Total portfolio after 5 years, $282,000. Tax-free, liquid, flexible, and they paid $144,000 in rent. Net cost, $144,000 to live there for 5 years. The renter comes out ahead by roughly $29,000. And that's before accounting for any special assessments, maintenance surprises, or a flat or falling real estate market. Now, does this mean renting always wins? No. Real estate markets vary wildly. If that condo appreciated 8 or 10% a year, Like Toronto did from 2015 to 2022, the buyer crushes the renter. The math flips hard. But we're not in 2017 anymore. We're in a market with elevated prices, elevated rates, elevated condo fees, and aging building stock. The default assumption that buying always wins needs to be stress tested, and most Canadians are not stress testing it. Before you ever put an offer on a condo, you need to do one thing that most buyers skip completely. Read the status certificate. Every condo in Canada is legally required to provide one. It's a document that tells you the financial health of the building. Inside that certificate, look for three things. Number 1, the reserve fund balance. How much money is actually sitting there? Compare it to the reserve fund study. A reserve fund study is an engineering report that estimates how much the building needs. If the actual balance is less than 70% of the recommended amount, that's a red flag. Number 2, any pending special assessments. This is the big one. If there's a special assessment already approved and you buy that unit, that bill is now yours. This is disclosed in the status certificate. Read it. Number 3, the last reserve fund study date. If the study is more than 3 years old in a building that's 20 plus years old, the board is flying blind. The numbers are almost certainly stale. You have 10 days to review the status certificate after an accepted offer. Pay a condo lawyer $500 to review it with you. That $500 might save you $30,000. Okay, I've been hard on condos. So let me be fair. There are real scenarios where buying a condo is the right move. Here's the honest version. Scenario 1. You plan to stay for 10 or more years. The buy versus rent math flips significantly over longer time horizons. Transaction costs, land transfer tax, realtor fees, legal fees are brutal on short holds. But spread over a decade, they're manageable. Scenario 2. You're in a market with strong rental demand and you plan to rent it out. A condo that cash flows positively or even breaks even is a different animal than a primary residence. Now you're building equity with someone else's money. Scenario 3. The building is newer, well-managed, and reserve fund healthy. Not all condos are time bombs. A well-run building with a fully funded reserve, a professional management company, and transparent financials is a genuinely different risk profile. They exist. You just have to find them. Scenario 4. You value stability over flexibility. The renter's portfolio looks great on a spreadsheet, but they can be rent-evicted. Their landlord can sell. Their rent can jump 20% when they renew. If certainty and roots matter to you, that has real value that doesn't show up in the math. The mistake isn't buying a condo. The mistake is buying one without understanding the full cost, the full risk, and the full alternative. So here's where we land. Condo ownership in Canada isn't automatically wealth building. It is a leveraged bet on real estate, combined with shared liability for a building you don't fully control, with hidden costs that don't appear in any listing. That doesn't make it wrong. It makes it something you need to go into with both eyes open. Read the status certificate. Run the real monthly number. Stress test the appreciation assumption. And ask yourself, what could that down payment do if it was working in a TFSA instead? The realtor won't ask you that question. So I will. If this video saved you from a surprise bill, share it with someone who's about to sign an offer. They'll thank you later. I'm Grace. This is Money Glow Up, and I'll see you in the next one.